Hey guys, I'm Chanel, and this is The Timeless Journey, a podcast where I share the timeless lessons that I've learned in hopes that it will help someone just like you. Welcome back, everyone. I'm so glad to be here, and I'm glad that you are here tuning in. If this is your first time here, welcome, and I hope you enjoy this episode. So over the past couple of weeks, we have been going through the series that I've called Luxurious Friends, simply talking about friendship and the challenges, how to have better ones, all that jazz. And I've really been enjoying diving into all of these topics, and I'm looking forward into going into a few more before we wrap the series up. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about friendships and relationships and the different challenges that may come up with that. And so in this episode, I'm going to talk about my point of view as the person who was in a relationship and dealing with my friends. And then in the next episode, I'll talk about being the single friend and dealing with my friends who got into relationships. So I'm going to try and give both perspectives, at least what it was like for me and what I've gathered from those experiences. And you already know how I'm coming. I'm going to jump right into it. I don't like to tarry too long on the intro, so let's do it. So I wasn't really someone to jump into a bunch of relationships. Like, I've talked to different people, entertained different things, but never was like really in a relationship. At least like I didn't really count it. Like, I've dated someone for like 2 weeks and then was over it because I thought he was crazy. Turns out I was right, but yeah. And then when I was like in middle school and high school, like I guess what you would call now a situationship. I don't know. Like, I entertained different relationships, but like never fully was like boyfriend and girlfriend with these people, because honestly, most people got on my nerves after 2 weeks, and I had a short fuse, and just like, yeah. Plus, what I wanted versus what they wanted wasn't lining up. So, yeah. So then fast forward to the guy that I was dating, where it really actually affected my friendships. So, I guess what would make sense is to talk about how we got together, because that plays a huge part in what the friendships were like after we actually got together. So this person that I dated was kind of already in my life. Like, I knew who he was. I was really close with his sister. She and I were the same age. He was like 2.5 years younger or something like that. And so he was just around, but like, we didn't really interact like that, you know? So then there was this one year where it seemed like our whole neighborhood and other people that we hung out with from outside of our neighborhood as well, we were all just outside that summer. Like, we were just meeting up all the time. Everyone seemed to have so much free time. Some of us were working, some of us weren't, but we all managed to hang out almost every day. And we'd meet up in our neighborhood and we'd just hang out and just get into whatever, like, all the shenanigans were being shenaned that time. Okay, we were out here having a good old time. That's when he and I got a little closer. And so we're hanging out, getting to know each other, having a good time with everyone. So one day I was in the car, and I think we like dropped off his sister or something, whatever. We were outside of his house, but I wasn't there for him. I was there for the sister, and I was getting ready to leave. Like, I was pulling off, and he was outside, like by his car or something like that. Or I don't know what he was doing, but he was outside. And I was like, I called him handsome, which I had never done. I called him handsome, and I guess that like got his attention. And so we drove. I drove off. Who was I in the car with? I don't remember. Anyways, drove off. Didn't even think anything of it. After that, the joke started where he was like, he would just always call me wifey. And no one really took it seriously. It just kind of became the thing. So he always call me his wife, and I would be like, no, I'm not. Like, it, like, that just became the thing. Him calling me his wife and me being like, no, I'm not. Harmless thing, happened all the time, and whatever, everyone kind of just knew. It was like, whatever, that's just how they play, whatever. And that went on for like a year, like a solid year. It was just jokes and everybody hanging out and everybody having a good time, like we was kicking it. And then one day, I think I asked his sister, I was like, because it got to a point where it started to feel like he was not joking anymore. Like, he was actually catching feelings. So I asked his sister, I'm like, is he being serious? And she was like, I don't know. I don't think so. I think he has a girlfriend, actually. That should have been my first red flag. But she wasn't sure, and I wasn't sure. And then it never came back up again. So it was like, oh, okay, so I guess not. And I never asked because I wasn't engaging in anything past all of our like hangouts with everyone. And so some time passed, the jokes continue on, and then one day, I think we were all at my cousin's house. My cousin used to throw these wild parties all the time, and so we'd always be over there, and it seemed like every weekend. So one day we were leaving. No, we weren't leaving yet. We were hanging outside of my cousin's place, and the guy's brother-in-law, or like, he wasn't really his brother, but he was dating his other sister. And so yeah, it just came up out of nowhere. One day we're standing outside at my cousin's house, and he's like, oh, you need to give my brother a chance. I don't even know what the heck he was talking about. He definitely was lit. I was just like, okay, yeah, whatever. Like, we have the conversation, and I'm just like, okay. Like, I listened, and I was like, all right, cool. He was like, yeah, because he not gonna ask you, and da da da. You gotta give him a chance, say something, blah blah blah. Stupid me, listen to him. And later that night, when we left my cousins, we were all heading back to our neighborhood so we could all go home. And we stopped at Quick Check, 7-Eleven, one of the two, but it wasn't Wawa. I think it was Quick Check. I don't know. I can see the location, but I can't see the store like name in my head. But anyways, whatever. So we stopped at one of the two, and it was Quick Check. While we're there, like, it was just so odd. Like, I think everybody, like, we were like all in the same vibe. And then I go in the store, I get whatever that I wanted, and I go back to the car. Actually, no, the conversation didn't even happen at my cousin's house. It happened at Quick Check. He tried to have the conversation with me while we were at my cousin's, and then everyone was like, no, don't talk to him, he's crazy, whatever. And then when we got to Quick Check, that's when he actually found an opportunity to talk to me and was like, oh, you should give my brother a chance, he's not gonna say anything to you, so you need to say something to him, blah blah blah. And so we had the conversation at Quick Check, and then while we're still at Quick Check, I get my stuff, I go to the car, we're still waiting for everyone else to come out. And so I made sure I got to the car before everybody else did, so I can talk to his sister, because I am very much a respect and loyalty person. So I talked to her, and I'm just like, hey, do you mind, like, would you care if your brother and I tried to date, like, give it a shot? No, actually, you'd be a much better candidate than the rest of them, so no, I wouldn't mind. I'm like, oh, you sure? Because, if you ain't about it, I'm not about it. And she was like, no, it's okay. It's cool. And so fast forward to us getting back to the neighborhood that night, it's still a decent amount of us. Not everyone that we normally hang out with, but just like the crew that lives over there. We're all hanging out. It's gotta be like 3 a.m. at this point, and we're all outside chilling, having our snacks, whatever, just talking, hanging out. And so he and I separate from the rest of the crowd. We don't go far, we can still see everybody. Is probably like 50 feet away. It's literally just so we can like have a conversation without everyone being all up in our business. And so we go and we sit down. We're like on the street, sitting down, and I'm just like, so we're gonna give this a shot or what? And he's like, oh, okay. Well, basically, yeah, we came to the agreement that we would give it a shot. And we were both kind of like, well, do we have to talk every day, or do we have to see each other every day? Because neither one of us was really about that. Like, I don't know. I wasn't big on emotions, as we all know, and being mushy gushy, and like, I don't need to be up under you, and you don't need to be up under me. Which turned out to be the opposite. But yeah, like when we first started having this conversation, we were like, yeah, no, we don't want that. And so we talked about whatever, a couple different things to make sure we were on the same page. And then we were like, well, why don't we, maybe sleep on it and, decide from there. I think I slept on it, and then I called him the next day and was like, actually, I don't think I want to do this. Maybe not. Like, yeah, I changed my mind. Like, maybe we don't have to give it a shot. Like, no thanks. And then I thought about it again. And then I called back. I was like, actually, you know what? No, let's just do it. And if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. Let's just give it a shot. And he's like, okay. And it's funny because we had a conversation after that. And he was like, I was having second thoughts when we first said that we were going to do it. And so when you called and said that you didn't want to, I was like, oh, okay. But then when we hung up, I was like, dang, I kind of want to do it. And then you called back and said that you wanted to. And so, yeah, it worked out. We were pretty much on the same page. So, whatever. Fast forward to the relationship actually starting. We're still in this big group setting. Like, the group is still hanging out heavy. And we're chilling outside. And, like, everyone's adjusting to the fact that, like, we're a thing now. So, like, we're still hanging out in the group settings. But the dynamic is a little different because we're actually dating. Like, we're in each other's space a little more. Which was fine. What started to become an issue, which I mentioned this, and I think the last episode a little bit, what started to be an issue was that he wanted some time to hang out, just the two of us, and then my friends felt like I wasn't spending enough time with them. And so I found myself in this position of trying to juggle my time, because in my mind, we can all just hang out together all the time. Like, I'm hanging out with you, I'm hanging out with you, I'm hanging out with you, and I'm hanging out with him. Everybody gets a chance to hang out with me and I with them because we're all together. Like, I'm not thinking too much about spending time one-on-one with anyone unless it just happens to fall that way. Like, I'm not really thinking twice about it. So that wasn't really crossing my mind, but it was crossing all of their minds. And so I'm just like, okay, now that it's been brought to my attention that you want to hang out one-on-one, y'all want to hang out without him, like, now I have to figure this out. And so I start trying to do that. And for me, it was really rough because I felt like I was putting forth a lot of effort to hang out with everyone and, satisfy their need to hang out without the other person around. And it was just like, they were still giving me so much crap. Like, I was still getting so much flack from every angle. And it felt like I don't know if maybe they felt like I wasn't trying at all, or that I didn't care, that I didn't want to hang out with him separately or them separately. Like, maybe they felt like I just didn't care, or that I wasn't trying. But to me, I'm jumping through hoops to try and make everyone happy, and it's not working. It's not happening. And so that was very frustrating, and it's something that I try to remember now. Like, how did I feel when people were coming at me saying that I wasn't spending enough time with them when I was trying to go out of my way to do so? And so I think about that now, as I am the single friend in my friend group. I try to think about that now, not feeling some type of way or not taking it to heart when my friends don't have a moment to hang out with me, or when it's like more time than I would like or would hope to have passed by before we got to hang out again. Like, I try not to make a big deal about that because I remember what it felt like on the other end. And I know that your lives change. You have to adjust, especially now that, like, all my friends, they're not just dating the guys, they're married to them. So that's a whole other dynamic. Like, they went from dating and hanging out, but then still going back home, and then maybe they didn't see them that day or whatever, to living with each other and seeing them every day. And so there's not much time apart from them. So it's not as easy to have time with your friends one-on-one. I don't hold that against anyone because I know what it felt like. I know what it felt like to be putting forth all of this effort to hang out with your friends, and someone's standing there like, you don't hang out with me enough. Like, it stressed me out in a major way. And now, other side of that, sometimes people do neglect their friendships, and it is a common issue. And so you do need to be mindful of that. You need to think about, like, your friendships. Yes, it's going to adjust, it's going to change. If you are used to hanging out with a friend every single day, but now you're dating someone, you're not going to hang out with them every day. You're not. Maybe it's like twice a week, but you're still making the effort to see them. And the other friend needs to understand that, yeah, I'm so used to them having time for me every single day, and now they have to spread their time between me and someone else. And so people need to be okay with that. People need to learn that lives change and dynamics change, and other people exist in your life outside of them. And it's okay if you don't see them as much as you used to, so long as you both put forth the effort to still stay connected, to still see each other. So yeah, that was something that I was really struggling with my friendships, because I genuinely was trying my best. But then it got to a point where I was no longer trying. And I don't think that I necessarily handled it the best way looking back, but in the moment I felt like I was doing what I needed to do. It doesn't make it okay, but in the moment that's how I felt. There was a point where I just didn't try anymore because I was so annoyed. Like, I'm going out of my way and bending over backwards trying to make time for everyone, and you keep telling me that I'm not trying, on top of talking about me behind my back, on top of all of the other issues that we were having within our friendships. And I just stopped caring. Like, not about them. I didn't stop caring about them, because I still did, and I still do even to this day, but I stopped caring about trying to put forth that much effort, because it just seemed like it didn't matter. It didn't matter how much effort I put forth. You weren't satisfied because you weren't getting all of the attention. All of my attention is a conclusion that I came to. And like the story that I mentioned in the last episode, I hung out with one friend for an entire day. They slept over my house and we hung out in the morning and had breakfast. They then went home and then I hung out with my boyfriend at the time. And then after that, I was told that I don't make enough time for them. Huh? Where? Do we not just live the same experience? Did I not just spend a whole day with you? And a night? It's like, I'm not in a relationship with you. I'm in a relationship with him. So, what we got going on? Anyway, so I really struggled with that. And now looking back at it, I think the smart thing for me to do, the more wise decision, would have been to sit them down and have a conversation with them and explain where I was at. Talk about, like, try to ask them some questions and see where they were, why they were feeling the way that they were, and try to see it from their perspective. And then maybe I would have been able to actually explain better to them where I was, and hopefully they see it from my perspective. And we probably could have come to some sort of resolution and better understanding than what we actually walked away with. But I didn't do that. But that is a lesson that I have learned, and so I'm sharing it with you now. If you find yourself in a situation where you feel like one of your friends is not making as much time for you as they used to because now they're dating, one, you should take that time to self-reflect, which is just like what we talked about in the handling conflict episode. You take the time to self-reflect. Think about what you're contributing to the situation. You feel like they're not spending enough time with you, but think, am I just used to them having so much free time and I'm not giving them the grace because now they have another person in their life and they're trying to juggle between the two? Or did they really just fully cut you off and just, you haven't seen them in 3 weeks, but they've hung out with that other person every single day? Like, there's a difference, and you need to take the time to think about that and see where you are, and then maybe try and look at it from their perspective. What would you do? And not the, well, I wouldn't do that. Don't just jump to the I wouldn't do that. Genuinely think about how you would be feeling, and if you're excited about some new relationship or whatever, how you would be acting. Put yourself in their shoes. And then have a conversation. Have a conversation with them. And that's not something I did. Well, we talked about it. Don't get me wrong. But, like I said, your girl was a hothead. Okay? I didn't really have much patience for a lot of things. And so, that conversation didn't exactly go over well. I was pissed off, and then I stopped putting forth as much effort because what do you mean? So yeah, now I have since figured out how to approach those things a little differently. That's not a problem I've had since then, because I was with that person for so long and then we broke up, and then I've just been chilling since then. There's been some people that I've talked to or whatever, but didn't get into relationships with them, and not going to. Wish them all the best though. Cool people, but no. So it's not really a problem that I've had to deal with since then, and so just trying to keep that in mind for future references. Like, have a conversation. Like, I don't need to shut down and just go the other way. Have a conversation if that's what they're feeling. And make sure I'm clear about where I stand and how I'm feeling. I think being the person who is in the relationship you have to try your best to be mindful of your time, the time that you are spending and the time that you used to spend with people. You need to be mindful of that, because you never want to be that friend. And I never wanted to be that friend who just forgot all about their friends, just neglected their friends, just kind of pushed them to the wayside when they got into a relationship. Because you need them. You need your friends around when you're in a relationship. You don't want to just write them off. You don't want to just push them to the side and not be around them. And that sometimes is easier said than done, especially when you have all these other things going on, when there's other things that are bothering you or upsetting you about the friendships, or even with family. I had the issue with family too. And not so much that, oh, you don't make time for us, but there were so many things that were red flags about this relationship that I didn't realize at the time. Maybe I'll have to do another episode about that, but I have to really pray and think about that and what I want to and am willing to share in regards to that. But yeah, I was having the issue with the family too, because there was a lot of not necessarily getting along between him and my family, or not that things were really happening, but it was just I don't know, I guess they were getting the vibes and they weren't really liking him, or whatever the case may be. And so I was having all this tension between myself and some of my family members in regards to him. And me, like I said, I am very much a ride or die kind of person. And if you can't come to me with a valid reason or something that I think is valid, you're just telling me, oh, turning your nose up at him, or you don't like him, or saying something to me about a decision that I made, and thinking that it's a decision that he made, which was not. To me, what are we doing? And so I can be very rebellious. And so the second someone comes at me a certain type of way, it feels more like an attack rather than addressing a concern. And so I've since grown out of that, by the way. But at the time, you coming at me, you feel like you're attacking me, you're attacking him, and now I'm entering into another mode. Now we got a problem. And I'm not the type of person that was just oh, you choosing whoever over your family, or you choosing your family over the person. I'm not about that, but I'm gonna go with what I feel is right and what I feel is wrong. I'm gonna separate the two, and I'm no, that's wrong, I'm not doing that. No, that's right. Yes, that's right, I am doing that. If you're right, you're right. You're wrong, you're wrong. I don't care who you are. I don't care if I'm dating you. I don't care if we're related. I don't care if we're close friends. If you're right, you're right. You're wrong, you're wrong. And I felt like a lot of the things that were happening were wrong. Maybe right motives, maybe right thought process, but wrong execution. And that's what I was focusing on, wrong execution. And so I was in this position of, I don't really like what you just said to me, or I don't really like what you just said to him, or how it was said. And now we got problems. So now I'm I don't want to be bothered with any of y'all. But part of that was things that I just needed to work on myself, grow, mature, whatever. But then the other part was I don't know, running around behind him doing whatever he want to do. I don't know, it just was all a mess. It was all a mess. And I'm grateful for the lessons that I learned in that time. But my goodness, I am even more grateful that I'm no longer in that relationship, because what were we really doing? I don't know. Anyways, you never want to be the one that abandons or neglects your friends or your family. But they do need to also be understanding that the dynamics do change when you're now in a relationship. That is something that people struggle to understand. And the quicker you understand it, the easier your friendships will be when people start dating. And for you as well, the sooner that they realize that, the easier the dynamics will be between you and your friends when you start dating someone. And so, yeah, I think I want to just wrap it up right there. I know this one is a little bit of a short one, but if I add in the second part, then it would just be too long. And I'd have like a 40-minute episode and a 10-minute episode. So I'd rather just split it up and do like 2 20, 30-minute ones, whatever this one's going to be. Your takeaways are: when you are in a relationship, do not neglect your friends, do not neglect your family. Put forth the effort to still have contact and hangouts with them. But also don't neglect the person that you're with. You are entering into something new and you want to explore that. You want to take the time to get to know each other. And yes, group settings are great. You get to know each other in those settings, but that one-on-one time is also amazing. Be smart about it. But yeah, one-on-one time, getting to know each other is so important. So you don't want to neglect that from either side. And then coming together is great, but you don't want to overdo it. Having them integrate, having like that new relationship be integrated with your friendships is amazing. And it's very necessary. And honestly, they may see things that you don't see. So you need that. But you have to find the right balance. You know the saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. I feel like it kind of also applies here. Like, you're not spending all your time with your newfound significant other, and you're not spending all your time with just your friends and not them. So find the balance, put forth the effort, and walk away if it's all trash. And we'll end it right there. That's all the time that I have for tonight. I hope you got something out of this episode. I know it was a little bit of a shorter one and just some story time, but yeah, hopefully you learned the lessons that I took forever to learn. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I am so looking forward to continuing this topic in our next episode. So please make sure that you listen, and also like, subscribe, share with a friend, and I'll see you all next week. I'm Chanel, and this is The Timeless Journey, signing off.